Okay, he was in Ocean's 11.
Matt Damon.
No, is it Tequila, Silver Fox?
George Clooney.
Yes. Okay, she was a pretty woman.
Julia Roberts.
Yes. Okay, all right, I guess this is a musician.
John Mayer.
No, older.
Time.
God damn, it's jazz legend Marcus the Worm Hicks.
Okay, who put that in?
That one might be one of mine.
Okay, team 2, we're up. Howie, you go first.
All right. This is a cool ad.
Okay, ready? And go.
All right, this guy ran with Thaddeus Sphinx. He was one of the 8 Balls in Mookie Kramer in the 8 Ball.
I don't know. This doesn't sound like anything.
He played the alto sax with a kink in it.
I don't know.
Not sure.
Really? Okay. Pass. Okay, this one's easy. He's got the freak lips. He can hit the high C all night long. He was king of the tuk-tuk sound.
Is this another jazz guy?
Laura, you know this.
I need another
I
hint.
told you this guy's whole life story that night we had dinner. I took you to Chartreuse. It was the same dinner that you said you don't like any PDA. I tried to give you those little kisses and you said no PDA. Remember? I criticized you for being addicted to your phone and tried to make it up to you by buying you the entire dessert menu and she didn't even take a bite.
Time.
Ah, come on, guys. We didn't get one.
Oh, all right. I guess we're gonna do this fucking vinyl tag shit. I'm doing the Stunt Rock version, the Stunt Rock, Stunties alternate vinyl tag, not the alternative vinyl tag. Like Matt, what was Mazzy's spiel about the alternative? It's just an alternate vinyl tag, a different one, another choice. So the acquisition, vinyl acquisition that you've been looking for the longest, that you finally got your hands on in 2023, Free Willin' by David Grier. If there's a record that I desperately want, I just usually go and get it, you know, unless it's, I mean, astronomical prices or whatever. If it's a reissue, if there's a reissue available, I'll find the reissue. I've never even been a huge like want list guy, but occasionally I will put 4 or 5 albums on a want list. And this is one that had been in my Discogs want list on and off like for many years. In the late 90s, my friend Mike, who's a musician and a flat picking guitarist, loves bluegrass and acoustic music, he turned me on to David Grier. Said that he was his favorite guitarist at the time. And I started checking out some of his music. It is all on CD except for this record. And it's on Rounder. It's from 1987, I believe. 88, 87, 88. And it's just an outstanding flat picking acoustic guitar album. The reason why it has taken me so long to get it is because you can't hardly ever find it in the States. I go to bluegrass country sections in record stores all the time, and this is the record that I'm always looking for. And I never see it, ever. If you go online and look for it, almost all the copies are always in Europe. Finally, this year, found one listed in the States. Really happy to have this one. Okay, your best deal from 2023. I log all of the records that I purchased over the year. I've been doing that for 4 or 5 years now. And I went down the list pretty carefully, and I'm pretty sure that this was my best deal. This is He's Coming by Roy Ayers Ubiquity. I found this at Lunchbox. It is a white label promo copy for those people that care about that. As you can see, the cover not in the best shape. It's mostly just ring wear. There is a seam split at the bottom, marked down mostly, I think, for the sleeve. The record itself it goes between VG, VG plus. Like the first track is VG all the way through, consistent kind of surface noise, no crazy pops or anything like that. And then as it goes on, it actually gets better in quality. I got this for $20. You can look up the prices online and you be the judge, but I think that was like my best deal for the year. Okay, an album that you bought by a new artist in 2023. So listen, I just did my year-end lists, a jazz list, and my favorite albums of 2023. I talked about a lot of artists and that were new to me in those lists, and there were several debut albums in those lists as well. So instead, I'm just going to talk about an artist that's been around that I got into this year in 2023. And her name is Susan Alcorn, and she's a pedal steel player. And this is her album, Pedernal, by the Susan Alcorn Quintet. This has Mark Feldman on violin, Michael Formanek on bass, Mary Halverson on guitar, and then Ryan Sawyer on drums. And this is an outstanding experimental jazz album. The pedal steel playing by her is just out of this world. I've never heard anybody play pedal steel the way she plays it. There are probably pedal steel players out there that are also as experimental as she is, but I'm unaware of them. This is just a fantastic record. I would say that this is probably the most accessible album with her on it as a feature. I'm really glad that I kind of decided to dive into her. I'm just a big fan of the pedal steel, and that's why I sought her out. So yeah, an album that people might be surprised that you bought in 2023. I bought these two reissues by Pauline Anna Strom, Transmillennia Consort and Plot Zero. Now, there was a box set that just came out. I want to say that these were released standalone before the box, or maybe Lunchbox just didn't get the box set in yet. I would have just bought the box set, but I just picked these two and bought them. Now, I remember reading about Pauline Anna Strom around the time that she died, and I'm pretty sure it was like in Pitchfork or something. And it was just a really interesting article, and I researched her at the time on YouTube a little bit, and her name has just always stuck with me. And I think that people would be surprised that I own these records because they're kind of very new agey, and even as I've been broadening my my musical exploration, new age is not really something that I get into. They're very spiritual, new age. You know, she was a healer, I believe a medium. I think she was kind of considered an outsider in the music world. New age electronic music from like the early 80s. A record you bought thanks to the vinyl community. This was like last year, it was the Bitchin' Bajas, and Stunty and Dom talked about that record, and then everybody, I fucking saw probably 50 people show that record on Instagram if they didn't show it on their YouTube channel. This year it was the Natural Information Society, Since Time is Gravity. So I bought this. Now, I didn't just buy this. I also bought some earlier, one Natural Information Society record, and then Josh Abrams' album that's just called Natural Information. I bought those two as well because I wanted to experience the previous work as well as this one, kind of like in, you know, all at once. So I didn't talk about this in my favorites of 2023 because it wasn't. And it wasn't one of my top jazz albums. It wasn't jazz albums. It also wasn't one of my top, 25, 30, 35, maybe even, I don't know, might put it in the top 50 of the albums that I listened to this year. Moontide Chorus, when I first heard that, it really grabbed me and affected me. It's amazing music. The percussion is really what drives this album. I love Moontide Chorus. I don't need another 74 minutes of it. And I'm sorry. That's just me. You can say I'm not sophisticated enough or whatever. I don't give a shit. That's not to say that it isn't like super repetitive, but it's fairly repetitive. I'm not going to say overindulgent because who am I to say, tell any artist that they need to edit themselves. But Honestly, if you just give me Moontide Chorus, definitely Moontide Chorus and Gravity, and then take your pick between Stigmergy and Immemorial, perfect album. Probably would be in my top 10 of the year. Just gonna leave it there. So a record from your teenage years that you picked up on vinyl. There were a lot of shoegaze reissues in 2023, which makes sense. A lot of 30th anniversary or older releases. But I picked up this copy of Ferment by Catherine Wheel. The album that actually introduced me to Catherine Wheel was the album called Happy Days, I believe. Came out in 1995. By that time, they had kind of drifted away from such a specific kind of shoegazy sound and really had started to kind of like embrace the popularity of grunge and kind of like harder rock. It sounds at times more like Bush than My Bloody Valentine, you know. I bought that album when I was a teen in high school in 1995, and then I went backwards and bought Ferment. And I didn't like Ferment as much at that time, but over the years, I've grown to love this album. An album that had your favorite cover from 2023, and it was Cousin by Wilco. Outdoor installation art, I want to make sure I get the name right, by Azuma Makoto. He basically, if you look up the pictures online, it's this giant floral arrangement. It's really, really tall. Constructed it in the outdoors in like Arctic temperatures, I believe. And it created this kind of frozen waterfall effect. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. They just credit it as flower art, which kind of sounds a little bit more simplistic to me than it really is. The cover is an 11 out of 10. The music is a 7.5 out of 10. Show a band that you wish didn't release an album in 2023. Sorry, not sorry. The National. I love The National. I love a lot of their earlier albums, especially. I think that High Violet is their true last masterpiece. And the two new albums, honestly, just really bored me. I don't know. And it sucks because they actually did have one song that we as a family loved, especially me and the kids, the song Eucalyptus. My kids love that song. They're already broken because they like a Sad Bastard National song. It's just not their best material. And I really miss The Rock from The National. They just lack energy. Show an album that you got as a gift or as VCLT. I actually got a lot of VCLT this year. I just recently talked about a package that my buddy Dean in Australia sent me, an incredibly generous package. So I'm not going to revisit that. I bought a lot of albums from the Dizzy collection off of Mazzy this year, and then Mazzy would also throw in some goodies. A couple that he actually sent me were true gifts. He knew that I wanted them or whatever, sent me those. My friend Bill sent me a record at Christmas time. Dave gave me a Hassle record when we met up at some point earlier this year. I'm sorry if I'm forgetting somebody. But then I was messaging with my buddy Logan over at Murmur Than Hell, and we were talking about REM, and I don't know. This was the only one that I was really missing on vinyl. Out of time. Now it's just one of the craft reissues, but I don't care. It was still incredibly nice. He had an extra copy, and it was very nice of him to send me that. Just wanted to give Logan a shout out. Okay, show an album that you bought not for the main artist. So you bought this record because of maybe a guest appearance by another musician or something like that. I bought a lot of records this past year. I looked through the whole list, and I didn't see a single record that applied to this prompt. Not one. I guess I'm just boring like that. I really built up my krautrock collection this year a little bit. It's still not huge. You know, beyond just the Can and Kraftwerk records that I already had. And I came across the seller on Discogs that had a shit ton of it. And I guess he splits his time between Europe and the States, and he would just, I guess, find a lot of these records in Europe, and then he would sell them while he was in the States or something. I don't know. And I just took a flyer on this one because I'd never heard of it before, but it's an album called Heidelberg. And this has everybody on it. This has members of Harmonia Cluster, Kran, Guru, Axe Genrich. I don't know how I say his name properly, but he's pretty much the featured guy on this record. And then all the other guys are just on here to kind of support. Mobius and Redelius are on here. It's a really cool record. It's kind of all over the place. A lot of really like loose jams, krautrock jam band stuff. But it's cool. I think it's a really cool record, and I got it for a good deal. This is the closest that I could come to that. An album that you would like to see reissued in 2024. Ruby Vroom by Soul Coughing. It would be the 30th anniversary. Now, this was reissued before, I believe, a music on vinyl thing, or no, it was a Rhino deal in 2015. This would be the 30th anniversary of this album coming out. So yes, reissue Ruby Vroom by Soul Coughing, please. And then a band that you want to explore more, or an album that you want to listen to more in 2024. I don't know. I don't really plan ahead, things like that. So I'll just say this. These guys are supposed to release a new record this year. I kind of have more of a casual relationship with their music. So because they're going to release a new album this year, maybe we'll do a little bit more of a deep dive into Dirty Three. I have a few of their albums, just like 3 of their albums, including this one. The first time I ever heard the Dirty Three was when they did that split EP with Low on that Fish Tank series thing. I should be more aware, or should probably have more of their records, or that's going to be my answer. There's still vinyl tags being leaked out. I'm not the only one. So yeah, Americana vinyl tag, I will be doing that. And hope everybody's doing well. Hope your 2024 is off to a great start. Digital Gramophone loves you, bitches. What is wrong with me? All right, bye.
Digital Gramophone makes no sense.